long ago at Fort Hood. I went to the memorial service. I talked to the commander, General Cone. We found out since then the Joint Terrorism Task Force had information about this individual, that he had been contacting an al-Qaeda operative in Yemen, a DOD representative on the JTTF, and yet that information was not shared with the base. I asked General Cone, would you have liked to have had that information? You had a major at your base, who was in contact with the top al-Qaeda leader, and yet they didn't know about that. I find that to be really inexcusable. And his question to me was, how many more Hassans are out there? It's a DOD issue, it's a JTTF issue, but it's also, when you talk about military bases in the United States, it's a Homeland Security issue as well. And I know you're smart enough to recognize that. I do have a few budget questions, but I want to ask you on that, because we know al-Qaeda has targeted military installations. Fort Dix is another good example. What are you doing to ensure that the information sharing process is improved so we can prevent, in this case, 14 individuals from being killed in the future?
Indeed. Without going into the Fort Hood situation specifically, but one of the things we have really been working on this past year is the amount of sharing of intelligence with state and local law enforcement about threats and threat streams that are within their jurisdictions, so that they can be watching out for them. Our first responders, particularly 800,000 or so police officers, are a force multiplier way beyond whatever federal presence that we have. We have greatly bolstered the fusion centers, and I think you will see a lot of activity in that regard over this next year, really strengthening the standards there, what really qualifies as a fusion center. What that's designed to do, Representative, is have in one place state, local, and federal, not only trained officers, but databases and analysts. It's not just sharing data that's important, it's the analysis that's important.
I agree. And it's also acting on information coming in, because there was information in Fort Hood, there was information in the Christmas bomber case. There were flags being raised. There were dots not only not being connected, but dots not being acted upon that I think, had they been acted upon, we could have avoided the Fort Hood tragedy and also could have revoked the visa of the Christmas bomber.